This episode is sponsored by Ubisoft. I'm excited to introduce Star Wars Outlaws, the new open-world game that takes place in the Star Wars universe between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. You play as Kay Vess, a scoundrel exploring the galactic underworld with her sidekick Nyx. This is an exciting part of the Star Wars galaxy for you to explore and build your reputation through alliances, missions, and more. And of course, there's plenty of new foods to discover, which we'll look at soon. Star Wars Outlaws is available now on Xbox Series S and X, PlayStation 5, and PC. Click the link in the description for more info.
I'll take the Scutto Chuga. It's okay, buddy. Ooh, I hope it's spicy.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Binging with Babish, where this week we're taking a look at some of the dishes from Star Wars Outlaws. The team at the game studio were cool enough to send me some concept art, giving me a clearer idea of what real-world approximations I could use and what cuisines I could mash together. Scutto Chuga appears to be cooked passion fruit with some kind of braised meat, while Che Mosca is a yellowy vegetable mash, flanking dried corn on the cob being popped over a grill. Sounds like Star Wars food to me. Let's start with the popcorn main course, for which I'm going to mash together elements of a Thai yellow curry and Phul Makhana, a popped lotus seed or foxnut popular in Indian cuisine. For the vegetables, I'm going with half a head of cauliflower, half a green and red bell pepper, roughly chopped, potatoes, and carrots. I'm also thinly slicing a small shallot and 4 or 5 bird's eye chilies. That's pretty much all our pre-prep, so over on the stovetop, we're melting 2 tablespoons of coconut oil over medium heat, and while it's still cold, I'm going to add 1 inch of grated fresh ginger and 1 inch of grated fresh lemongrass. Doing this while the oil is still cold so that they get thoroughly cooked without burning, kind of the same way you'd cook garlic for pasta alla olio. Once things get to bubbling, I'm going to add the thinly sliced shallots and bird's eye chilies and cook for 1 to 2 minutes or until the air in your kitchen becomes spicy. Before we douse the fire, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of yellow curry paste, cooking for an additional 1 to 2 minutes or until it starts to stick to the bottom of the pan. By now, the aerosolized capsaicin from the chilies should be eliciting wet coughs and watery eyes from anybody nearby. So we're finally going to quench the pan with about half a 14-ounce can of full-fat coconut milk, stirring with vigor and passion to ensure that all the curry paste is dissolved. Now we're going to add the rest of the coconut milk along with 1 cup of vegetable stock, which like most Thai curries is going to form a thin and soupy curry, which we're going to bring up to a bare simmer before adding any vegetables. First up, potatoes. 2 or 3 small Yukon Golds peeled and cut into 1-inch chunks. And now starts the vegetable timer, adding different vegetables in stages depending on their cook time. After the potatoes have cooked for 5 minutes, in go 2 large carrots peeled and thinly sliced. 5 minutes more and then we're going to add all the quick cookers, our chopped red and green bell peppers, our half head of cauliflower florets, and 1/3 of a cup of drained bamboo shoots. Now we're going to cook everything uncovered for another 5 to 10 minutes, until all the vegetables are tender but not mushy. I've also got a little bit of dried holy basil here. I'm going to add about a teaspoon's worth. Then it's time to address this curry's thickness. I want a sauce thick enough to coat and cover the popcorn, so I'm using an immersion blender to partially blend some of the carrots and potatoes into the soup, but I'd recommend scooping out some, throwing it into a blender, and getting it really smooth. Now we're going to taste for seasoning. It's good and spicy, but it needs a few things. The funk of 1 tablespoon of fish sauce, the brightness and acidity of 1 freshly squeezed lime, and to counterbalance the intense flavors and spice, 2 teaspoons worth of grated palm sugar, or just brown sugar if you don't have this stuff kicking around. Taste for salt content and adjust as necessary. Now onto this dish's trickiest element, the popcorn factor. It looked like they were popping corn directly on the cob, so we finally tracked down this blue popping corn in the hopes that we could then pop it on an electric hibachi grill. So let's try it out. Go ahead and plug this guy in. I'm sure whatever's burning off here is perfectly harmless. And once you get all the toxic vapors out of there, we're going to throw the corn right on the grill. And in just a few edge-of-your-seat minutes, you might be delighted to hear the littlest, tiniest of pops. Pop! I never thought popcorn could be adorable, but here I am grinning like a child. All that to be said, this didn't really work. In order to pop the remaining kernels, the initial popped kernels effectively had to get burnt. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times, a yakitori grill is not an efficient way to pop popcorn. Using the manufacturer's included wax paper bag works much better, but it blows most of the kernels straight off the cob. So here's the Phul Makhana, which are lotus seeds or foxnuts that have been pre-popped. All we have to do is toast them, either for a few minutes in a cast iron pan, or you can do it much more more easily and evenly in the oven. Preheat it to 375 degrees Fahrenheit convection, spread out the fox nuts on a larger rim baking sheet than that one, and toast for 7 to 10 minutes or until lightly browned. And dump directly into your awaiting curry, almost immediately before serving, as this is kind of a breakfast cereal situation. To serve, I'm going to place some of these pre-popped cobs onto the deactivated yakitori grill, pretty much for just pure decoration, and dole out our Thai-Indian hybrid curry with toasted fox nuts, which turned out really quite good. It's sweet, sour, and spicy, and the fox nuts are chewy and crunchy. The only thing I would do differently in retrospect is thicken it with yogurt or cream. This would help the full makana stay crunchier longer, and it would eat more like a meal. But how does tiny popcorn taste? It tastes like normal popcorn, but tiny. So now onto the Skedo Chuga, which presents a more interesting culinary challenge: how to make what appears to be a meat-based, savory passion fruit dish. And my mind immediately went to al pastor, with a spicy passion fruit jelly standing in for pineapple. So I'm harvesting 8 ounces worth of the alien-like passion fruit pulp, and I was only able to buy bird's eye chilies in bulk, so those are going to be my source of heat. Anywhere from 1 to 5 of them, depending on your spice preference. Then to both sweeten and thicken the passion fruit, I'm making a combination of 7 ounces of granulated sugar and 1.5 teaspoons of pectin, whisking it into the sugar to ensure that it doesn't clump. Into a medium saucepan goes the fruit, chilies, sugar, and pectin, all of which we're going to stir and then bring to a boil, cooking for no longer than 1 to 2 minutes. Just enough time for sugar to dissolve, the mixture to thicken, and flavors to get to know each other. And this turned out really legitimately good. It's tropical and spicy, and I think it's going to work really nice with pork, specifically 2.5 pounds of boneless pork shoulder, which I'm going to break down into 1.5 to 2 inch cubes, big enough to stay nice and moist, but small enough to create a lot of surface area for my art. Now for the braising liquid, we're going to start by stemming and seeding 2 ancho chilies before tearing them up into 1-inch pieces. Then we're going to place that and 3 chiles de árbol into a small dry sauté pan, along with 1.5 teaspoons of cumin seed, which we're going to toast about 5 minutes until fragrant but not smoking. Then in the last minute or so, I'm going to add a half dozen peeled cloves of garlic and half a small onion cut into 4 pieces. Give those guys just a little bit of heat and then add 1 cup of water to the pan. Bring the mixture up to a boil, kill the heat, cover and steep for 10 to 20 minutes, or until the chilies are fully softened. Dump everything into a blender and make the device live up to its name. Oop, almost forgot. I'm going to add 2 chipotle peppers in adobo sauce, 1 tablespoon of achiote powder, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. Now blend for 1 to 3 minutes or until completely smooth. Give it a taste for seasoning. You're really just tasting for salt because it's going to be pretty raw. This is going to spend a few hours in the oven. Now in a nice big large bowl, we're combining the pork, 1 small yellow onion cut into 1/6, I guess, 1 teaspoon whole allspice, 1 teaspoon Mexican oregano, and 1 tablespoon whole black peppercorns. Pour the chili mixture over top, and we're also going to add a hint of our star ingredient, about a half cup of passion fruit juice. And then we're going to add just enough water so that there's enough braising liquid to cover all the stuff. After mixing things together with our mitts and pouring into an appropriately sized casserole, when we press things down, we want everything to be mostly submerged. Just a few meat facets and onion tips peeking out. Now this guy's headed uncovered into a preheated 350-degree Fahrenheit oven for anywhere from 2 to 4 hours until it looks like this and the pork is tender enough to shred with your hands. First, we're going to let it cool for about half an hour until just handleable. Then we're going to remove the meat, doing our best to pick off any allspice berries or peppercorns, and then commence to shredding the pork into bite-sized shreds. Now this, of course, is not true al pastor. It's al pastor flavors prepared in a braise. This is just so we can match the aesthetics of the game. Last up, we're going to strain the remaining solids through a fine mesh sieve, pressing out as much of that delicious cooking liquid as we possibly can. Then into a high-walled sauté pan it goes, along with a pinch of salt if it needs it, and just enough of that cooking liquid to moisten all the meat. Bring that up to a bare simmer and keep warm until ready to serve. Now these were not pictured in the game, but these feel like tacos to me. So I'm toasting some orange corn tortillas, the most alien-looking tortillas I could find, and preparing to plate up. I'm going to use the same half-moon plates to hold the main course. Then there's an elevated skewer down the center, which I'm fashioning together from a pair of sake cups, a couple of placeholder holders, and a metal skewer, upon which I'm going to skewer 3 reserved passion fruit shell halves. These are going to act as our sort of condiment cups, because once suspended, we're going to fill them with our spicy passion fruit jelly, for doling out onto your taco as you see fit. All there is left to do is dole out the meat, playing it a little fast and loose with the passion fruit cups, grab your nicely toasted tortillas, and serve. A little bit of the spicy, peppery pork, a plop of the piquant passion fruit, and why not, some thinly sliced red onions. And the result was fantastic, like to a surprising surprising extent. The sweet, spicy, tangy passion fruit doesn't just stand in for pineapple, it usurps pineapple. It plays so nicely with the deeply flavorful, fatty pork. Even though I was about to go out for dinner, I found myself making 2 more and eating all of them. It was really fun mashing together different cuisines and flavors, but I never could have imagined they'd come out this good. I can rarely find satisfying answers to the question, what does Star Wars food taste like? And I can even more rarely say that I'd genuinely make it again. Thanks again to Ubisoft for sponsoring this episode. Star Wars Outlaws, the new game in the Star Wars universe, is available now. The game features a dynamic reputation system, which means the character's actions impact her standing and influence gameplay, meaning you have to manage your reputation to succeed in the criminal underworld. I don't want to spoil all the fun, so trust me when I say you just have to play this for yourself to see what I'm talking about. Star Wars Outlaws is available now on Xbox Series S and X, PlayStation 5, and PC. Click the link in the description for more info.